This is the Airhorn Podcast. Gonna slow down and talk about going fast. It's another mountain biking podcast where we might just answer questions you have. Listen at 1.25 speed. You can listen in any order you please. Might be the worst, could be the best. Sometimes it's just me, sometimes there's a guest. It's the Airhorn Podcast. You. Good morning, and welcome to Airhorn Podcast Season 2, Episode 1. If you're unfamiliar with this channel, this is the Airhorn Podcast channel, and it is the companion channel to my MTB ALAN channel. I'm MTB ALAN. If you didn't already know, you already know this, but thought I would tell you anyway for those people who don't know. Welcome everybody who's here so far. If you don't already know, we used to have raw vlogs, we used to have Airhorn podcasts. I've merged them all into one, so it's just the Airhorn podcast. New season, new camera, and now we're doing this every other week, just to give me a little bit more time to prep and make this hopefully a little bit better for you. What's up, Workhorse MTB? Good morning. And Aaron Barella. Yay, you made it to the live one. Good day. Okay, let's jump into, before I get any further, let's jump into channel news, or just news in general. News in general is I've got a new bunch of stickers. So this is the sticker that if you've seen me on the trail, you probably have one of these. But I have new ones now, which are the gray ones, the monochrome ones. These are actually the OG graphic. So now I have both ones. So I'll be carrying these around. I got small ones, so they're easier to put into my pocket. So if you see me on the trail and you want a sticker, hit me up for stickers. Just say, hey, give me a sticker, Alan. These are live now, at least today it's live. I don't know. I might go back to recording these. Back in the old days, I used to record these in the truck and then deliver them that morning or the next day. And they were always raw and unedited and recorded in front of a live beverage. So all that is still true. I always say you can tell how long I've been awake by whether or not I'm drinking coffee or whether or not I'm drinking tea. And right now I'm in between. I'm right at the bottom of my coffee. And we're about to switch to tea. So, channel news. Okay, we're still on channel news. Stickers, a little bit of industry news. I'm sure you're aware of box components. They just came out with a silent instant engagement hub. I'm kind of excited about this because I've been really interested in the Onyx hub for a while. There's just something about silent hubs. I know some people like loud hubs. I'm kind of on the other end I'm totally on the other end of the spectrum. I love the sound of the tires on the dirt, and I like silent hubs. I love the way it sounds. And I watched Vital MTB's review on it, and it sounded pretty interesting because they said that, with the Onyx hubs, they're a little bit, I don't want to say spongy. I've never tried them, but there's a little bit of like moment, like as they engage, and they showed the difference between that and the box hubs, and the box looks like they just kind of instantly engage. I guess they bought it from TRP or something like that. In any case, really interesting. Another option for a silent hub if you're into that sort of thing. This isn't technically channel news, but it's a comment that came into the live chat last episode 60 of Raw Vlog Season 1 that I totally missed, and it's a really nice one. It's from Send or Be Sent. I don't know if you're on today, but in any case, I'm sorry that I missed this because it's a great comment. Send or Be Sent said, "The other day at Snow Summit, I did 10-ply for the first time, and me and my friends were naming the hard section, and we named the section you broke your wrist on the MTB ALAN section." So I guess I'm honored that you named it the MTB ALAN section. I appreciate that. Cool. So that's all I have for channel news. I usually give you an update on what my next episode is going to be on MTB ALAN. I'm not really sure. I actually have two things in the works, but I will tell you that both of them were about days on the trail that just took me back to being a kid on a bike. And I feel like that's like 75% of the reason why I ride mountain bikes. Okay, next segment, race runs. I don't know. So race runs is the segment where we talk about race and ethnicity. And I always like to say that while it's a clever name, the concept of race in and of itself is a racist concept. So I shared this on Instagram the other day, and it says parts of the brain that are activated by physical threats are also activated when we receive information that contradicts deeply held beliefs. So to sum that up, when we hear something that doesn't fit with what we consider to be our reality, we have a deep primal response to that. I don't know why we're wired that way, why we're built that way, but that's how we are. And I think it's really important to be aware of that. And see, now that you've heard this, you know that we have built into us this strong reaction to ideas that don't fit in with our model of the world. Knowing that, we can short circuit it and just be aware of it, and then allow ourselves to be more open to thoughts or to ideas. How does this relate to race and ethnicity? I think the thing that the dissonance that I often see when I'm having these conversations or seeing these conversations is usually that the two people don't, or at least one of the people doesn't necessarily think that there's that much of a difference in a person's experience in our culture, that the difference can't be that strongly affected by race and ethnicity, by skin color, that sort of thing. And the way I look at that, if I can equate that to mountain biking, that's kind of like, riding down a DH trail, riding down 10 ply, for instance, and one of you is on a DH bike and one of you is on a 29er XC hardtail, and you're both, and maybe one of you just doesn't think that the other is really having that much of a difference experience on the trail. So that's kind of how I look at that. So in that case, it's kind of obvious, but a lot of the times those differences are kind of hidden to us if we don't know about it. Maybe we've never ridden a hardtail 29er or DH bike, so we don't necessarily know. So that's what I wanted to say about that. So be aware that you have a wired in response to ideas that don't fit into your model of the world, and that that response can be pretty strong, and that it really serves us to be aware of that and to be willing to be open to things that are maybe outside of our experience a little bit. Cool. Thanks, Aaron. Yes, Workhorse MTB, they did a rad review. Can you remember? I always forget the guy's name now. Brandon, right? The guy that did the review, Brandon on Vital MTB. Love his content. Always really well written. I love the sound of his voice. Let's get into Stoke of the Week. Stoke of the Week. I didn't get any Stokes of the Week. You guys are supposed to share your Stoke of the Week. Crew, you're supposed to say in the comments what your Stoke of the Week is. I keep trying to get you to put it in the comments, but maybe because these are live streams, you can't really put it in the comments. So I guess put it in the live chat if you want. You can do it now, and then later on, if you watch this later, put it in the comments. Share your Stoke of the Week. I like the Stoke of the Week to be a community thing. That being said, I have two Stoke of the Weeks. Two Stokes. One, you probably already saw the episode where I hit the tombstone on Muscle Beach on Party Wave at Snow Summit. It's really rad anytime you kind of overcome a a fear like that, and then do it, and then come at it. And I don't know why it took me so long to hit that. I guess I just, I think after like breaking my wrist, and that's really just kind of made me want to be really prepared before I do anything new. I used to be like, I guess kind of the way I ride now has changed. I was really into always progressing and getting new features under my belt. And I think now I'm more about just having a blast on the trail and occasionally progressing on features. Doesn't necessarily mean that I'm not always incrementally working on my skills and trying to like work on my jump skills, get better at rock gardens, things like that. But like totally approaching a new feature or something that's slightly outside of my experience or skill set. Yeah. So anyway, that was rad. Aaron is sharing his stoke of the week, which is that he did his first double this week. Heck yeah, congratulations. Are you talking about like there was like 2 whoops and you doubled the whoops? Or yeah, please explain on that. Let me make sure that I'm not missing anything over here. Yes, okay. Cool. The other stoke of the week is that I got a last minute text, or a just kind of like whoop text, that from Jason Richardson, whom I interviewed a while ago. You can maybe kind of look that back up. Rad dude. He's a former BMX racer, and he hit me up. He said, "Hey, I'm going to go ride Greer at 6 p.m." I said, I looked at my schedule. I could do it. Looked at traffic, knew I could make it, got out there. We got like a total sunset run, and that was awesome. So Jason is really cool. But I also got to ride. He also brought his buddy Alec along. And this is Alec. I don't know if you know Alec Bob. If you don't, this guy recently moved to town from Texas, and he's a freaking badass. He's AA BMX. This guy can boost like a monster. Let me see if I can find that video. I got to ride with this guy. Yeah. Freaking awesome. It was just cool to watch somebody hitting stuff that normally, we have to kind of get ourselves worked up to hit. And he's just hitting it blind in the dark. Just freaking so cool. So yeah, check him out. Alec Bobster is his Instagram. He's relatively new to town. I think he's been a little bit limited because he came to Southern California like right before COVID hit. Anyway, wow, we are like 15 minutes in and I haven't even gotten to the main subject, and I have one other thing to get to. Anyway, that was my stoke of the week. One comment I kind of wanted to get to, a question that I got from Christian Burrell. I don't remember when the question came in, but the question is, will Greer be saved from development? And I tried to do a little bit of homework. I know I had some documents from like Murrieta's city planning and stuff like that, and tried to find out what was going on. I also hit up MTB Flow. I don't know if you know MTB. Actually, I'll just look his Instagram up here real quick. MTB Flow. Official Arturo Burns, super nice guy. If you don't already know MTB Flow, give this guy a follow. Nice guy. I actually hit him up, asked him some questions about if he knew anything about what's going on with Greer Ranch, because I know he's out there quite a lot. And he asked around, asked people kind of in the know, and I guess the general idea was that they were going to try to save at least some of the trails. Probably like Jumping Mouse and things like that were going to end up getting taken over by the residential development that's going in, but some of the trails ideally will be saved. But right now the whole thing is at a bit of a standstill, and I guess this isn't the first time it's happened. So if you ride those trails, do stay aware. I mean, it didn't take me long to find some of the planning stuff. City documents are really hard to get through. So if you know somebody just rang my doorbell. I think I just got a delivery. So if you know anybody in the city of Murrieta, maybe they can help you get through those documents. It took me a while to like find the right document and scan through the PDF. Anyway, that's the update that I have, which I know it's not much of an update on Greer Ranch. Checking the comments. Okay. Yeah, Aaron. Okay. It's okay that yours was nothing like that. In terms of hitting the double, that guy's BMX AA. Like we're talking, he's pro level, so he's just freaking badass. Let's talk about. I was wrong. So I was inspired by a recent Pink Bike podcast. I think it just came out, where they had this whole list of things that they've been wrong about. And granted, they have a lot more history, and there's some of their stuff that they were wrong about goes back to like the early 2000s. But it did inspire me to think about like stuff that I have been wrong about and that I could, that I just kind of want to be open about. So one of those things, and if you want to share some stuff that you were wrong about, feel free to do that or ask me anything else as I go through this. So the first thing that I was wrong about is what kind of rider I am. And I think probably a lot of us go through this, I don't know, maybe when I first got into mountain biking, I was, I thought I was really going to be the kind of rider that was about just getting on a bike and just riding single track and just getting out far away from people and just, getting some time alone, some peaceful time, listening to birds and looking for deer and stuff like that. I basically, the first time I tried to hit a jump, I realized that maybe didn't realize at that point, but that's when like a switch got hit. And I'm much more about like hitting jumps and sessioning stuff with buddies. I guess that's just kind of more like I was as a skateboarder, where I wanted to go to the skate park or some spot and just session it with buddies and just laugh and have fun and just be goofy. So obviously that affected like the bike that I had, because the first bike that I had was very built for that type of single track kind of XC backcountry kind of riding. And now I have basically an enduro steed. The other thing that I was wrong about, one other thing I was wrong about was less technology is better. And this is, I think, just kind of general in my life. I'm always just kind of like, I don't do this anymore, but for a long time, I would just kind of, scoff at, or like, just like, I don't want to deal with adding complexity, but I associated complexity with technology. And so, because I think for a lot of us, it kind of feels like that, right? Technology makes things more complex. But now, I would really like to get the access shifter on my bike. I have the access dropper seat post. And the technology has actually made things simpler. Like I don't ever have to worry about the cable. I have one less like cable or housing on my bike. And all I have to do on that thing is switch out batteries, which I think is simpler than managing that. So also, technology can also mean things like having a wider cassette or, better shifting and all those kind of things, and just kind of really refining the experience. So I'm okay with technology. I'm like all about advances now. I just kind of love seeing new stuff come in technologically. Next, what are we on? We're on number 4. Number 4, fourth thing I was been wrong about. This is not the fourth thing. I've been wrong about many more than 4 things. But the fourth thing that we're going to talk about today is the wrist guard. After I broke my wrist, I got back onto the bike and I just thought, I'm going to like muscle through this. I'm going to strengthen. I'm just going to deal with it. And boy, was that a bad idea. It just ended up being bad for the wrist. Everybody was telling me in the comments, Alan, will you go get a wrist guard? People made suggestions. They had a TLD wrist guard. There was the Mobius X8. There was the other one, which I can't remember. If you remember, hit me in the comments. But yeah, so I got the TLD. It helped. It was better. And now you probably already know, I spent the money. I spent the $200 and got the Mobius X8. I freaking love that thing. and my riding experience is way better. I don't know why I'm like that. It's actually similar to the technology, less technology is better idea. So I've backed off of a lot of that. Suspension setup, number 5, the fifth thing that we're going to talk about today that I was wrong about was how I set up my suspension. I was just afraid to have the dampers be that open because I was afraid that everything's going to be all crazy bouncy, and I didn't want to put too much air into the suspension. But the fork and shock that I have is pretty dang modern. It's some of the most modern. They have some of the most modern damping systems that you can get just because they're new and they work. And I think in the past, maybe it's not that I was wrong. It's just that like previous suspension systems, their damping circuits worked okay, but they maybe didn't fully do the job. But these newer systems, like that I have on like my Fox 36 and then I have on the RockShox on the back, they really do their job. So you can like up the air in them and then really open up those circuits, and they really just kind of do the job better. So starting out with the new bike and that new suspension, I had it set up all wrong. Having Kevin ALO work with me made me realize that my suspension setup was totally wrong. Good morning, Andy. Andy says I was wrong thinking my last bike, big purchase, would be the last bike, big purchase. I think I'm always wrong about my suspension. Yeah. Yeah, I could see that. Yeah, I don't know if I've ever really considered a bike to be my last bike. I guess because I'm always looking at new bikes. But yeah, I feel like that's interesting to say, like to think about always being wrong about your suspension, because talking with Kevin Aiello, he looked at suspension setup as really being tuned for the terrain that you're on, and that really makes a lot of sense. I think it's just like a lot of us don't have the expertise it really takes to retune our suspension depending on where we're riding. Like if I'm riding Party Wave the West Ridge versus riding Greer Ranch, Party Wave the West Ridge is high speed, big jumps, relatively buffed out course, whereas Greer Ranch is medium speed and much tighter things, much more like kind of medium, kind of higher speed, but usually medium speed rock gardens and stuff like that. So your suspension might need to be set up a little bit different. So I still am learning how to do that. I'm gonna jump back into Stoke of the Week because Ian Bamer, sorry, says that he's stoked to have cleared about all the jumps on Blue Steel this last Wednesday. Heck yeah. I will bet you I know which jumps that you're having trouble clearing. One of them, I bet, is the one that's between the two rocks, and the other one is right after that right-hander towards the top. Those are two that are always a little bit weird. Yeah, just so you know, if it is the one between the two rocks, when you come over that step down, let go of your brakes, get low on your bike, and you should have enough speed. Okay. Where are we at? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The fifth thing that I'm going to talk about today that I was wrong about is that faster is better. I used to just look at my goal. Like my goal always used to be to get down the trail as fast as possible. And this is maybe cool for DH tracks like Miracle Mile or something like that. Like speed definitely helps you. Jump lines, on the other hand, I feel like are a little bit different. And that speed is better, faster is better attitude ended up earning me a separated AC joint. It ended up like busting my shoulder because I was just using speed to get over jumps. And I've talked about this before, but I just wanted to bring it up here. I remember the first time I followed Tommy Huynh and his crew down Neverland at Sky Park, and I was pulling my brakes a lot. I was kind of tripping. I thought that they would just be freaking booking down that trail. They were actually going a fair bit slower than I had been going, but they were boosting all the jumps, and they were really making it more about getting vertical and less about getting just over the jump. So yeah, faster isn't always better. And the sixth thing that I'm going to talk about that I was wrong about, and this one, I don't know, this is a funny one. I was wrong about the Outsider MTB. And this is going back to before he and I met, before we rode together. I had seen his channel and was kind of watching him grow. And I don't know, I just kind of, sometimes people, the way they come across on video, especially when they're brand new on the channel or when they're brand new to their channel is just starting out. I was like, I don't know, is this guy a jerk? I don't know. And I remember, like, I don't know how he thought about me, but when we decided to like set up a blind date, we did it in this kind of like neutral way where we weren't like, okay, let's meet up to ride. We were both like, hey, I'm gonna be at Sky Park, and I was like, yeah, I think I'm gonna be at Sky Park too, and we just left it at that. And then when we finally met each other, I was still kind of a little bit like, I don't know about this guy. But then within a couple of runs, we just like became buddies. And yeah, it's really funny. Normally when I meet people or when I like, even when I see videos, I get a pretty good feel of people. I'm a pretty good judge of character, usually tell where somebody's coming from. For whatever reason, with that guy, I just was totally wrong about him. And then, yeah, then we became buds. That's pretty cool. Anyway, yes, bromance is real between Tony and me. From G's Nuts talking about bromance. Ian Barner follows up by saying, oh, and I was testing my bike in the mullet setup. It was freaking awesome. Saw that somebody tested their Bronson with a 29er fork and seemed to really like it too. Something to consider in your future. Yeah, I'm curious about that. People, I've heard people talk about putting a 29er on the front of a 27.5 bike. Everything that I've heard from like people who like just kind of do this stuff more often usually suggest doing it the other way, a 29er bike putting a 27.5 on the back. A lot of that has to do with bottom bracket height, and then what it does to the geometry. Oh yeah, Earl Grey. I like me some Earl Grey. Yes, Andy says, I agree that faster is not funner all the time either. Yeah, it's funny. I don't know if you saw the last episode, the what was the last episode called? Problems lead to progress. Problems and progress. It's New Summit. Riding Blue Steel, we had a couple of people in front of us who were going pretty slow, but it actually made it pretty fun because we would have to kind of hold back and then crank on the pedals, hit the lip, and then also not, we weren't hitting them as fast as I normally would, but then really working to kind of boost over those pull, really just kind of working on that pull. What's up, Eric? Mountain biking. Hi. Yeah, so that's what I got for today. We're coming up to the end of our time because my Friday workday is about to begin, and I need to go to that. Sorry to break the reality or to break reality into this thing, but that's what this is about, right? Oh, here we go. We've got a question from Alex D. How often do you play with your rebound? And Eric Hollander, what's up? How's it going? I don't play with my rebound that often. Basically, that seems to me to be the kind of thing that you just kind of like, once you get it set, you set it. But my compression damping, that's usually the kind of thing that I will mess with, low and high speed compression damping. The only time I will maybe mess with rebound is when I'm setting up a new bike. But Yeah, I think generally I'll just kind of like leave rebound as is. I know that I felt like my front wheel was getting caught up in like really chundery stuff, and I ended up speeding up my rebound by a few clicks, and then it seemed to kind of like track the ground a little bit better. Workhorse MTB says my Friday workday is about to turn into go ride my bike day. Yeah, do it. Just don't get fired. Um, I wish I could do that. I was, it's Memorial Day weekend, and I was really tempted to get a little sick today and then go get like an extra day at Snow Summit. But it's just a little too suspicious to do that, especially when your buddy is going to do the same thing. You both can't be sick on the same day on a Friday before a long weekend. Yeah. Workhorse MTB, you work for yourself, right on. So yeah, so don't fire yourself if you go do that. I used to work for myself, and the joke I always had was like, I work for myself and my boss is an asshole. Okay, I'm gonna take a couple more questions. Okay, but we're gonna go a little over, and hopefully I won't get in too much trouble at work. Eric Mountain Biking says, I have a question. What bike should I get for enduro? That's a really broad question. I mean, simple answer is get an enduro bike. You can get an Intense Tracer, Santa Cruz Nomad, Santa Cruz Bronson, Transition Patrol, Pivot Firebird 29er, a Specialized Enduro. You could get a, something with like 160, 150 out back, maybe, and then you're good. Something relatively modern. That's what you get. But if you don't have that, it's enduro, and I've seen people take podiums with hardtail plus size bike over people who had full suspension bike because you've got multiple stages, and there's always like pedally sections in enduro races, so there's multiple ways to win enduro. So that's the real answer. Ride the bike that you feel the most confident on, because confidence is probably the best piece of equipment you can take into any race. Boom, boom, boom. Yeah. Yeah. Cool. So yeah, Eric, I don't know about the comments on Meta HT. I don't know. Actually, I don't know their line too well, but if they're kind of in that same range of 150, 160, yeah, sure, go for it. Cool. How I do this, thank you for coming. I have to tell you, your comments are some of my favorite because they're so crazy. I have no idea sometimes what you mean, but I love them. But yes, it's good. It's good to have you in here. And I don't know if you know, but this is a little inside joke. How I do this, there's a guy whose username is all caps Brian, who will often respond to you with crazy comments. CAG's nuts. And I'll just let you know, he's actually a coworker of mine, and he and I would look at your comments and just laugh, and we would just love them. And he decided to start responding to you. So yes, thank you for your comments. I've actually missed them. It's been a while, so jump back in there. All right, everybody. We're gonna call this. Thank you so much for showing up. Hit the like button, and if you want, please actually just hit me in the comments with your Stoke of the Week. I want to share your Stoke of the Week in the Stoke of the Week section. Shared Stoke is the best kind of Stoke. All right, everybody. Hope you get in a good ride this weekend. Hope you have a good time. Be safe out there, but also have fun. Remember, safety third. Wear your masks. Do all that stuff. Memorial Day weekend is probably going to be crazy, so do your part to be good and stuff like that. Happy Friday, Andy. Everybody, take care, and thank you so much. See you next time.